Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to thank the organizers for inviting me. I would like to share with you some context. When Anna invited me to attend this meeting, I said to her, of course, why not? I was fully enthusiastic. When the foundation contacted me, Carlos from the foundation asked me, what is a girl like you, a teacher like you from the Business Institute, here at a meeting of Spanish orchestras? I suddenly became anxious and I freaked out. I was almost on the verge of running away. But the following morning I started to work and to think. What had led me to say first, yes, I will, yes, I want? Because I don't really know much. I'm not a musician, I'm not an expert in art. And so I realized that I was here because I have a passion, my passion for leadership. And that's what I would like to share with you today. I work in organizations. I'd like to tell you about my experience and what I've been doing for the last 25 years. I hope I can convey the essence of what I've learned in the next 15 minutes. What I've learned after many, many years. So it's practically my conclusions. I don't know where I have to aim to change the slides. It doesn't seem to work. Or doesn't want to. Here we go. How do I understand leadership? I wanted to especially speak about personal leadership. It is for me the essential key that we have as people, and it consists of how we realize what's happening in the world that surrounds us and how we make decisions as to what to do in order to reach our goals, to meet our desires. And I thought this could be something that I could contribute to in this session. It's something that brings us together, and we're all in it. Regardless of where we work, we may be working in a telecoms company, we may be working for a marketing company, or we may be working in an orchestra. It always means that we belong to an organization, we work together with other people, and each one of us is projecting our leadership. When we belong to an organization, we do so because on our own we don't have the necessary intelligence to do what it takes. That's why we have to get together and do things together with other people. But working together with other people is very complicated, and there are some people who are very, very strange. Especially when they're not like we are. When you meet someone who's wonderful to talk to, and you realize that they think like you, they speak like you, they dress like you, and they move like you, you go back home so happy. It's sort of wonderful. It's so nice to talk to this person. But there are other people who are very strange. The way they dress, the way they walk, and the way they talk. I don't know if it happened to you, but every day it happens to me. So in this challenge, the challenge of organizations, we are in an ongoing process where we project our leadership together with other people to do something great. In your case, a performance or whatever project that you may have. So what happens? In any project, we are totally interrelated. We are individuals, teams, organizations, and we interact and we co-create whichever organization we are. In your case, an orchestra. An orchestra is a co-creation, a production, a construction that is made among everyone. But sometimes we seem to forget this, because each one of us, with our mindsets, or whatever you want to call them, we are contributing to build a figurative world. It's a limited world in which we define who belongs and what has to be done, how we have to dress, how we have to act. It's a limited world that gives us some knowledge as to where we stand, what an orchestra is all about. We all know what we have to do, when to do it, and so forth. And thus, as an organization, we build the organization, and the organization builds us. This is a concept by Holland as to how we build the idea of an organization, in this case an orchestra. The important thing is that in this construction that we create all together, we are clearly defining how to behave, interact, think, how we have to behave to belong to the group, in this case the orchestra. So as we belong to an organization, we live an alternative leadership where the organization builds the person and the person builds the organization. This is more or less the process in which we are involved, and I'd like to raise your awareness to. I'm sorry, can't be seen properly, but it's a very circular thing. So, artistic professional lives are a continuous interaction between our environment and ourselves, and we create at all different levels. And sometimes change, or what leads us to think things differently, usually comes from outside. It comes from society, from the environment, from the market. But some other times we can change from inside as individuals. So in this circular system, I'm interested in leadership. I like to talk to people about the power they have and how they are also the leading characters and builders of the reality in which they live. The ways in which we project leadership might cause that this figurative world that we are creating helps us to expand as individuals, or it might cause us to contract. And this is very important. When we contract, we could draw this as a downward spiral, where individuals, as individuals, we start to feel that we lack resources, that we're not providing all our potential talent to the overall. It's a way of leadership, but it's a defensive leadership, so to speak. The opposite may happen too. We create a figurative world to which we want to belong, and we feel that we expand, and we are capable of providing all our talents to the group, in this case an orchestra. So my dream, what I work with, is for people to be able to expand, to put all their enthusiasm and talent at the service of the orchestra, and at the service of the audiences, that they may convey their ideas through their performance. It has to be an expansive exercise. I'd like to test this with an experiment. It's a very simple experiment. Imagine that I tell you that our project for today would be this afternoon for you to think on how to make a hole on this small card, this business card that we often exchange. So, how could we make a hole large enough to put our head through it? What would you tell me if I were to propose this challenge to you? It cannot be done. Can it or can it not be done? What do you think? How would you stand before the challenge? How many of you think it's not possible? Of course. How many think it is possible? What about the others? What happens to everyone else? Can you do it? Can't you do it? What do you think? Can we or can't we? I have some students with a lot of talent in physics and maths, and they tell me, hey teacher, this is not possible. It's absolutely impossible. If you fold the card and if you start cutting these shreds every 3 millimeters, and if you turn it around and start cutting again, being careful to leave the folded ends without cutting, and then finally you do cut the fold, not only you manage to make a hole, you will also have a collar. A collar that fits in your head. Or a necklace if you wish. So, what do I mean by that? We've created a figurative world, the one that we built all together in our organizations, with the learning that we have accrued after all this time. Every time we try to go past any stumbling blocks. And we have created certain theories whereby any problem that we have faced, we have done so with a new idea, with a new theory, the one that has led us to obtain a solution. These theories are decisive. They are determining the opportunities or the threats that we see around us in the environment. And this is very important to bear in mind, because sometimes we feel like a fish in a fishbowl. We have very clear ideas about the grand theory as to what happens in our surroundings and how we fit in. But at the end of the day, even if they tell us there's water there, we go look at, we ask ourselves where. It's impossible, we can't see the water. Because we're in it as a medium. We've been immersed for so long that it becomes very difficult to praise the underlying theories. This was just an example for us to see that from this reference point that we have, and with our background knowledge, there was no solution to the hole in the card, but now we have learned more. If we have further resources that we use, then it seems that we weren't making the most of them, we weren't achieving the results expected. So perhaps it's time to change. But in order to change, it's not only the will of doing otherwise. Sometimes we don't know how to do otherwise, because we change the perspective. Either we change the perspective or the framework, or it's practically, I mean, impossible to see any new alternatives. We need a new theory to give us perspective, to give us a new standpoint, to construe things differently and reach different alternatives. These are some of the issues in this changing world that we have created for ourselves, and we need to start questioning things, to question this world that we have created. So what do we draw from it? What kind of people are in this world? Which skills do we value most in this figurative world, and which ones we disown totally? This is a world that we have constructed, that we have invented. And so the question is, and so this world that we have created, does it give us any opportunity, or is it becoming too small for us? Does it make us grow, or does it make us contract? I always say, if we are capable of creating a figurative world, then it's a good world if it helps us grow and expand. However, if this world that we create just makes us shrink, then it's a sign that something needs changing. Perhaps you know Benjamin Zander? He says that sometimes we create a world that is the world of measures, the world of the calculator, and it makes us shrink or become contracted, and we can't express ourselves properly. We cannot expand in a positive manner and make the most of our opportunities. Because it's a nasty world where we move with fear, with scarcity, with what is lacking. And in such a world, we have to be aware and watch out for the enemy. This is a win-lose game. We have to focus on where our talent may get to and to be number one. In this world, it's the I that is important. I am the important one, and not necessarily the interaction with others. In this world of the I calculator, people do not change. People are what they are, and that stays. You have it or you don't. So you don't have many opportunities. Because what nature does not give in this world, you cannot learn. It's an old Spanish idiom. And so we end up with very few possibilities, very few opportunities. I did not conform to this, and I thought that there ought to be other ways out. If we stay, we'll enter a downward spiral. I assume when a musician arrives, he or she is not alone. When you're in an orchestra, you're not alone. There is this Jiminy Cricket voice saying, "You're going to have a bad day, you bet. You're such an idiot, and you can't manage to play passage number 4, you're going to forget it again. Oh my God. You're not good enough. You're clumsy. You thought you would reach success? Come off, come on." And you enter into this imposter syndrome. Oh dear, if they realize that I'm not the first-class musician they think I am, it's going to be hell. And we enter into fear. This internal voice is our worst enemy. It's a critical voice that we have learned that says that it makes us better. Better for what? If it's boycotting us. How can you express yourself if this inner voice is saying, "Beware, you clumsy idiot, you're gonna ruin everything"? And it becomes a self-fulfilled prophecy. If you have children, it may have happened to you. A child in this challenge, without fear, said, "Careful, you're going to fall." And the child falls, and "I told you so." Well, if the child doesn't fall, then we've more or less led the child to. And if you only insist on what's done wrong, the normal thing is that the wrong things be done, because you more or less instill it in their mindset, and it ends up by becoming true. So in this world of measurements, where you cannot go wrong because you pay dearly for it, we enter this downward spiral, when you make decisions early on as to, "This is not for me." And some of them may be great celebrities in literature because they decided that maths were not for them. Or perhaps one day at school someone said, "You're not good at this," and I never tried it again. If you believe this idea, you never try again, and you decide that you don't want to do maths, and you go for the letters. It happened to me. I thought that maths were nothing for me. My daughter almost took the same decision. She's 16 years old, and early enough she thought, well, maths are not for me. But I found her a good teacher, so she could see that with hard work and perseverance, talent also develops and flourishes. Part of what we are is from birth, and another part is developed. My daughter has very good grades and she wants to study medicine.
Bueno, piensen las veces que se han equivocado, cuántos errores habéis cometido para ser lo buenos que sois, para ser el artista que sois. Bueno, todos tenemos muchos talentos. Yo siempre digo que todo el mundo nace con las 4 partes del cerebro, las 2 frontales y las 2 basales. ¿Por qué entonces vas a tener medio cerebro? Otra cosa es que en el desarrollo de lo social hayamos tenido oportunidad de desarrollar más uno u otro, nos hayamos ido escorando hacia un lado u otro. Esto es interesante, pero lo vamos haciendo un poco en lo social, ¿eh? Cuando nos expresamos y alguien nos va diciendo, ¡qué mal lo haces! Eso no se hace, eso no se dice, eso no se toca. Y por amor, y por autoestima, y por miedo, vamos tapando, nos vamos encogiendo en muchas de los talentos que os digo con los que venimos dotados. Lo tapamos a veces tanto, que cuando... Ya esto, ¿no? Ya esto. Lo tapamos tanto que al final hacemos a veces un muro y vamos así por la vida. Y esto, bueno, esto es justo, ¿no? Esto es justo lo que nosotros les animo a mis alumnos a que vayan un poco rompiendo, atreviéndose, ¿no? hacia el mundo de la expansión, ¿de acuerdo? En este mundo tenemos que defendernos, tenemos que tapar las partes, ¿no? Yo creo que lo podemos ser todo y alcanzar la posibilidad, como os decía, no cercenarnos y quedarnos, ¿no? con esas partes de el no soy. Desde la construcción que hacemos de lo que somos, cuando construís el mundo figurado de qué tipo de orquesta sois, qué tipo de organización, ya 2 minutos, cuando os construís con lo que sois, hay una parte que os estáis negando y es lo que no sois. Y eso que no sois es lo que estáis dejando en las posibilidades de construir. Mirar, por favor, para dar la posibilidad y que os podáis ir equivocando, que os planteéis qué habéis ido dejando fuera para que en el nuevo desafío tengáis mayor capacidad de respuesta para un resultado diferente. Sabiendo que cuando queréis crear algo nuevo, necesariamente tenéis que vivir la paradoja de no saber y equivocaros, como cada uno de los músicos, cada uno de los artistas que estáis, ¿no? en la orquesta. Entonces, se trata de ir creando, de acuerdo, desde el aprendizaje, convertirnos en aprendices, darnos cuenta de que no, el desafío en el que estamos, lo único que nos está mostrando es que no sabemos ahora qué hacer, pero que estamos en auténtico desafío de podernos estirar con nuevas posibilidades. Poner el énfasis en el protagonista, que como os decía, lo que está haciendo el protagonista en el paradigma es cuestionarnos las interpretaciones para elegir acerca de qué hacer, otras alternativas para conseguir un resultado. Si no os satisface, bueno, pues distinto, ¿no? Entonces, en este sentido, y desde la teoría del liderazgo, creo que podemos aprender a muchos niveles, plantearnos si el resultado no nos convence, qué podemos cambiar en comportamiento, qué podemos hacer, y si no tenemos más alternativas, qué interpretación estamos haciendo de nuestro entorno, de nosotros mismos y de la orquesta, porque con esto será el cambio. ¿Qué ocurre a veces? Que para estas nuevas interpretaciones vamos a tener que cambiar un poquito la realidad interna de lo que somos, O cambio yo y mi forma de ver el mundo, o difícilmente puedo interpretar de otra manera para hacer de otra manera y obtener otro resultado. Este es un poco, ¿no?, el mensaje que yo pues quería trasladar para que tomarais vuestro liderazgo y empezarais a proyectarlo en el desafío de qué ocurre que no obtengo el resultado. Muchas gracias.